Chapter 10, Snare the Devil. We gon' catch it, or we gon' die tryin'. The back of Smoke's garage looked like a meth head's war bunker, blueprints taped to rusted walls, gas cans stacked beside welding tanks, machetes, chains, road flares, a cooler full of raw pig guts, and an old stereo rigged to a car battery. K-Doll lit a Newport with shaky hands, pacing like a lioness in a too-small cage. "You sure we ready?" she asked, exhaling smoke. Smoke nodded once. "Nope, but we out of time." Redbone sat on a stool, right hand wrapped tight in duct tape and a rag soaked in whiskey. Where his left hand used to be was now just gauze, blood, and a bent metal rod he'd screwed into a makeshift brace. One-handed or not, his eyes stayed cold, locked on the bear trap he was welding to a pressure plate. "This gon' take a piece of it," he muttered, voice gravel and pain. "Maybe more." Tanisha wiped sweat off her neck, shotgun on her lap, fresh shells clipped to her thigh. Her chest still ached from getting slammed into that wall 2 nights ago, but she wasn't gonna say shit. "That sewer's its home," she said. "We gotta make it regret coming out." K-Doll tapped the map on the table. "We bait it here. Old junction between the meatpacking plant and the water treatment line. Only one way in, one way out." Smoke leaned over the map, dragging a black marker in a thick, unforgiving slash. "We flood the rear entrance with fire, cut off escape, drive it into the choke point." Redbone finished welding and stood, breathing heavy. "Trap goes here." He pointed to the choke. "Pressure primed. Bear jaws laced with napalm gel. Soon as it steps in, whoosh. Barbecue its fucking legs off." K-Doll grinned. "You sick, old man," Redbone grunted. "Damn right. That's how you stay alive in Bent Horn." Tanisha stood. "Then let's do it, tonight, before this town turns into a graveyard." Midnight felt like a curse. The tunnels hissed. Stank of death, old piss, and mildew was heavier than before. Every corner looked like it held breath. The deeper they moved, the quieter it got. They reached the junction. Smoke and Redbone worked fast. Bear trap set, napalm gel smeared, wires checked, battery-powered ignition rigged to a loose footplate. Tanisha set up behind a support beam, shotgun aimed down the corridor. K-Doll stacked the pig guts in a bucket, pouring blood across the floor like she was seasoning the devil's dinner plate. Then they waited. Minutes stretched into hours, eyes twitched, ears strained. Then the silence broke. A wet slap in the distance, then another. K-Doll's breath hitched. "It's coming." Smoke tensed. Positions. Something moved, just outside the light. Not footsteps, not slithering, something worse, dragging. It emerged slow, hunched low, limbs longer than they should be, translucent skin stretching over muscle and bone like wet cellophane. Its jaw split open in 4 directions, teeth glistening like razors coated in spit and nightmares, and its eyes, still none. But it looked straight at them. Redbone whispered, "Wait. Wait for it." The thing sniffed the air, took a step, another, then stepped right onto the trigger plate. Clack. Whoosh! The bear jaws snapped shut around its legs, metal teeth crunching through bone, and the napalm burst into a wall of fire. The creature screamed, high-pitched, bone-deep. It shook the concrete. Tanisha fired both barrels into its torso. K-Doll rushed it with a flare in one hand and a kitchen knife in the other. Smoke tossed a Molotov from behind. It burst across the wall, setting everything around the creature on fire. But the thing didn't die. It thrashed, jaw swinging open to release a sound like a dying choir. It pulled its legs, ripped them free from the trap, shredding its own flesh just to escape. Redbone tackled it. Yes, one-handed. But crazy don't stop for pain. He jammed a flare into the wound and shoved a nail bomb into its gut. Smoke screamed, "Get back!" Everyone dove behind concrete. Boom. The explosion was thick, loud, hot. The tunnel shook, bricks crumbled, water splashed. When the smoke cleared, the creature was on its knees, twitching. Most of its ribs exposed, no legs, skin charred, black liquid oozing from its belly like engine oil. And it laughed. Stupid. Fucking apes, it croaked. Tanisha lifted the shotgun. Boom. Right between what used to be its eyes. It slumped, finally still. Nobody spoke, nobody breathed. Until K-Doll said, "Is it dead?" Redbone limped forward, kicked the thing. It didn't move. Smoke dropped to a knee, exhaustion catching up. Nah, not yet. He pulled a flare, jammed it in the hole, lit the fucker up. They stood and watched it burn, watched the black smoke curl toward the sewer ceiling, where it vanished like a ghost. Nobody said it out loud, but in their bones, they knew. It wasn't the end. It was only round one. Tanisha stood there with smoke curling around her face, eyes locked on the blackened lump of flesh. The creature's body steamed, skin still bubbling from the napalm, bone exposed like a half-eaten rack of ribs. It looked dead, but none of them moved. "You really think that shit's over?" she asked, voice tight. Smoke shook his head slowly. "That thing don't bleed right, don't die right." Redbone grunted. "Still moved after the blast, still talking. We need to bury it deep." K-Doll pulled out a pack of Marlboros with bloody fingers, lit one, drew in deep, and exhaled like she was breathing out fear. "We ain't burying nothing. We gonna end this." They spent the next hour hauling what was left of the body toward the sewer drop, an old iron gate that led straight into the deep basin under the bayou. Smoke called it the hole, where Bent Horn flushed its sins. Now it was about to become a grave. As they dragged the carcass, oozing, stinking, leaking black bile that hissed on contact, Smoke stayed quiet, but his eyes kept darting, watching. It felt wrong, like it was letting them win. K-Doll noticed. "What's up with you?" He paused, hand still gripping the creature's arm. Thinking. If this was its den, its home turf, why ain't it fought harder? Why run into a trap? Tanisha nodded. It baited us before. What if it flipped the script? Redbone spit on the floor. Then we better be ready for part 2. They dumped the body into the basin. It sank fast. No splash. Just a wet gulp, as if the water swallowed it willingly. Smoke stared down at the black water, heart heavy. Good riddance. They turned to leave. That's when they heard it. A low hum. Mechanical. Faint at first. K-Doll froze. What the hell is that? Then, lights. White blinding floodlights erupted from the end of the tunnel. A motor kicked on. Something rolled toward them on treads. Redbone raised his good hand. Hold up, that ain't the creature. 4 hazmat-suited figures appeared behind the rolling machine. Gas masks, weapons, logos on the chest, Centrix Bio Ops Division. Tanisha cursed under her breath. Oh, hell no. The lead figure raised a gloved hand. Stand down, we're here for the asset. Smoke stepped forward, machete in hand. The what? The soldier tilted his head. The specimen. This incident is under federal containment. Leave the premises. K-Doll stepped up next to Smoke, face twisted. We just blew that motherfucker to pieces. It ain't a damn specimen. It's a demon. The soldier didn't flinch. Then you'll have no issue letting us collect the remains, Redbone growled, stepping in front of the group. You late. This town's been eating shit for weeks, and now you want to come sweep up like janitors? The hazmats didn't answer. The rolling device extended a claw arm over the sewer drop. Clicked, buzzed. Smoke raised his blade. You ain't taking nothing. We buried it. The soldier stepped forward. We know. That's why we're here. There was a pause. A deep rumble rolled through the tunnel floor. Everyone went silent. From the black water, something rose. Slowly. Dripping. But it wasn't the same body. It was new. Longer. Leaner. Bone-plated like armor. Its face, if you could call it that, was split clean down the middle. No jaw this time. Just a gaping wound lined with twitching, blood-colored feelers. K-Doll's cigarette dropped from her mouth. That ain't the same one. Tanisha's voice cracked. It molted, like a fucking insect. The creature lunged. It hit the hazmat crew first, tore through the closest one in less than a second, ripping flesh, shattering bones, spilling guts. The remaining three opened fire, automatic rifles barking, muzzle flashes lighting up the tunnel. Bullets bounced off. Sparks flew from its armor-like chest. One claw sliced a soldier's head clean off. Smoke screamed, "Fall back!" They ran. Behind them, screams echoed as the last soldier was yanked into the water. The machine crushed under one swipe. They reached the first stairwell. Redbone turned and pulled a flare from his belt, lit it, threw it. The flare hit oil from the earlier fire, ignited. Phoom! Tunnel filled with smoke and flame, cutting the creature off, but just barely. They emerged from the manhole outside the meatpacking plant, gasping, coughing, bleeding. Tanisha collapsed. K-Doll fell to her knees. Smoke dropped the machete and yelled, "We need a new plan." Redbone lay on his back, breath shallow. "That wasn't a trap," he whispered. Smoke leaned down. "What?" Redbone's eyes locked on him. "That wasn't our trap." Smoke sat in silence on the edge of the meatpacking plant's loading dock, boots soaked in sewage, hands trembling like the ground might swallow him next. Behind him the group was scattered, half broken, half stunned. The smell of napalm and sulfur still clung to their clothes like death's perfume. K-Doll was the first to speak. "That wasn't no upgrade. That was a fucking rebirth." Tanisha was cradled under an old wool coat, arm wrapped in gauze, her lips pale. She didn't argue. She just nodded, slow, like her brain couldn't keep up. Redbone winced as he tried to stand. "We didn't trap it. We hatched it." Smoke stared at his hands. They were covered in soot, grime, and little black flecks from the creature's molted skin. "That thing ain't no predator," he said low. "It's evolution wrapped in meat." He looked at the town from the dock, dark streets, flickering lamps, dead silence. "We can't fight this one with bear traps," he said. "We gon' need fire, real fire. Napalm, propane, diesel, whatever burns hotter than hell." K-Doll nodded. "We still got the stash at the garage, the old nitro tanks, couple oxygen drums." Redbone gave a bitter chuckle. "Y'all talking about making a fucking bomb?" Smoke didn't blink. "Number, I'm talking about making a funeral pyre." They worked all night. The garage became a war lab again. Redbone wrapped pipe bombs in chicken wire soaked in gasoline. K-Doll siphoned diesel from the school bus yard down the road. Tanisha, dazed but alive, scribbled down pressure equations and fuse timings on the back of mechanic invoices. Smoke dragged out the old welder and started fashioning what he called a gut gun, a flamethrower made from scrap and hatred, 2 propane tanks, a weed burner, and a trigger rigged from a junked chainsaw's starter. Redbone eyed the thing. "You know that could explode in your hand, right?" Smoke just shrugged. "Then I'll take it with me." By dawn, they had enough explosives to level half the block. And a plan. They were going to lure the creature back to the tunnel entrance with blood. Not just pig blood, real human scent. K-Doll volunteered to cut her palm and lead a trail. Redbone would wait in the shadows with the det cord wired into the sewer lid. When it entered, they'd blow the entrance, trap it inside, then drop the fire. Tanisha, still weak, was posted with the backup flamethrower on the roof of the community center. And Smoke? He was the tip of the spear, gut gun strapped across his back, knife in his belt, guts full of rage. Night came quick. The town was ghost quiet. Dogs stopped barking. Wind stopped blowing. Even the cicadas shut up. K-Doll made the trail, blood smeared across mailbox posts, across a baby stroller flipped over on its side, over broken glass in front of Gator's Deli. She led it toward the manhole near Old Main. Then she hid and waited. Redbone's radio crackled. "You see it?" Smoke's voice came through. "Not yet, but I feel it. Shit's close." Suddenly the air got thick. Kadal saw it first, slithering low against the ground like a shadow with tendons. Its shape was different now, longer arms, claws dragging the concrete, skin almost armored like roaches glued together. Its mouth didn't open, it unfolded. Teeth came out like switchblades. It followed the blood. It crawled straight into the open manhole. Redbone waited until it dropped below the lip, then clicked the switch. Boom! Concrete exploded. Metal shrieked. The sewer gate slammed shut. Smoke was already moving, sprinting down from the hill, dragging the gut gun on a sling behind him. He hit the trigger. Flames roared. The sewer hole lit up like hell's chimney. Screams rose, human and not. The smell hit their noses. Burning bile, scorched rot, death turned inside out. But then something moved in the fire. Something stood up. "No fucking way!" Kadal screamed. The creature emerged, flames eating its back, flesh bubbling, but still walking. Its legs snapped backward and forward like an insect, bones showing under cracked armor. And its arms, they split. 4 limbs now. And one of them held a piece of Redbone's trap, still burning. Tanisha fired from the roof, shot after shot, but they just ricocheted. Smoke roared, gut gun blazing. Flames engulfed the thing. It screamed, louder than anything they'd heard yet, the kind of scream that made dogs claw at walls and babies die stillborn. Redbone stepped into the open, bleeding from the mouth. "Run, motherfuckers!" He pulled a detonator from his coat, the backup charge. Smoke's eyes went wide. "Red, no!" But Redbone smiled. "One for the road." He hit the button. The blast leveled the street. Bricks flew like hail. Fire consumed everything. Kadal hit the pavement so hard she blacked out. Smoke's body slammed into a dumpster and didn't move. Somewhere in the smoke, the creature still twitched. Its arms gone, most of its face melted, but alive. Barely. Tanisha stumbled toward the crater, half her face burnt, but still breathing. She lifted the backup flame unit, clicked it on, and walked straight into the pit, screaming, screaming fire. Until the twitching stopped.